That's better. Okay. Is that better on Facebook now? You can hear me now. You should be able to. Hi, everybody on Instagram. Sorry for the bizarre start. I'm trying to stream on 2 platforms. Trying to be clever. It's probably just going to be a little bit annoying. Let me know, guys, on YouTube and Facebook whether you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. We can start talking about guilt across the board. Wonderful. Okay, so yesterday I was on the BBC and I was talking about guilt on there as well, and I just think it's a very important topic because so many of us carry so much guilt around, and we're not talking about guilt, although we'll touch upon it, where we've actually done something wrong. Okay, it's not about it's not the guilt where we've actually done something wrong, because if you've done something wrong, apologize for it, do something about it, and move on with your life. Okay, and it's simply that. But we're talking about the guilt where we carry it for no reason whatsoever, when there actually isn't anything that we've done wrong, but yet here we are walking around with all this heavy burden of shame as well on us. And that's what I want to talk to you about a little bit about this evening. I am slightly distracted, I'm not going to lie, by the screens. I was trying to be super organized this morning. But let me know before we get started how you're feeling today. Instagram, guys, I'm going to actually start this again because I can see that there's going to be an issue with this going off. So I'm going to start you guys again. So excuse me if this goes off. I will be back in 2 seconds and it will be less rambly when I come back. Right, for those of you guys who are live with me on YouTube and Facebook, I was trying to be super clever. It's not worked over on Instagram, so I'm going to just get them back up again, and then we're going to discuss guilt properly. I must always also say sorry, because yesterday I did say I was going to come on at 9:30. In fact, I said I was going to come on Monday, and then I didn't. But hey ho, I'm here. We're here together. So tell me in the comments before we get started any further, like I always do when we do a live stream, how you are feeling today. Are you at a 1 today? Are you feeling rubbish? Are you feeling full of guilt? Are you at a 10 today where you feel absolutely incredible? And let me know in the comments where you're at. And it's really important that we do this to check in with ourselves. I'm just going to pop a little title on Instagram. Here we go. All right, let's go live on Instagram. See how we are. Hello, Instagram. I'm back with you. I suddenly had some bother with what I was using. So I'm back and we're talking about guilt. If you are just tuning in for the first time, I was on a few minutes ago, hence the rambling start. We're discussing guilt this morning. And first of all, before we get started, as I've just asked on Facebook and YouTube, I'm just asking you guys how you're feeling this morning. Are you a 1, feel absolutely rubbish? Are you a 10, you feel totally incredible today? Or like Kerry, who is on my Facebook, are you an 11? And I know why Kerry is an 11, because she's getting married, and that's lovely and exciting. So on Facebook, we've got Michelle, who's a 6 or a 7 today. Could be better, but trying to raise above it. And absolutely, that's the point of why we check in with ourselves, because when we do, if we check in and we're not feeling amazing, it's our chance to move ourselves up as well. I can see Hannah on Instagram's an 8.5, better than yesterday. It sounds good. Kieran's at a 4 on Instagram, and Cami is at a 6 today. And let me know, guys, if that's good, bad, or indifferent for you guys. And on Helen is a 7 on Facebook. Jess is a 7, but I had 3 days of no exercise, bad food, feeling the guilt. So I'm glad you're here to discuss guilt with me this morning, Jess. And we see somebody else on Facebook had a rough time in hospital. So sending you loads of love, because that's awful. Michelle said, oh, and I think it was Emma. Oh, Emma, I did see that you hadn't been well as well. So sending you loads of love. I hope you're feeling good and better, or at least getting better as well. And Hannah is an 8 today. So we've got some high numbers, we've got some low numbers, we've got everywhere in between. Hi, Kaylee and Kirsty on Instagram, Lisa, Nikki. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So we're discussing guilt. I was discussing this on the BBC yesterday, because we carry so much of it. And so I'm going to share you some thoughts and some things to do when we're discussing guilt, because this week I'm going to be discussing guilt across my social media all week. I'm going to be doing a podcast on guilt and the types of guilt that we carry. So it could be, I mean, if you're a parent, there's a lot of guilt that you carry as a parent. I think that's mum guilt is a very known thing. As a mum, I feel guilt constantly of what I'm doing, how I'm parenting, am I doing it right, am I not? That comes up for me a lot. It's probably my highest form of guilt. You might be a person who is a helper, a people pleaser. You might be a person that feels guilty when you don't do the things for other people that they would like you to be doing, and having to say no might bring up a lot of guilt for you. Claire on Instagram, you had 2 tooth abscesses on both sides. Ouch, I'm sending you love, Claire. And Georgie's a 5. Taking a social media break, so I'm only going to be here for a few minutes, no worries. And a social media break is very, very important. And you should not feel guilty for taking a social media break or not answering messages. And you see on my Instagram and Facebook today, I mentioned ghosting the WhatsApp group. And I say, I'm being trivial when I say this, but we carry a lot of guilt in social situations like that, and things like not answering a message quickly enough, not getting back to people. I mean, I know we are socially distanced and stuff now from people, but there's still all these social interactions that we sometimes feel guilty when we don't want to partake in it. And I think it's really important to just recognize who you are as a person, what makes you feel good, what doesn't, what was going to send you on a spiral of feeling rubbish, and recognizing when you need some space, when you need some time, and honoring how you are feeling in that moment, and not feeling guilty about that. Because why should you feel guilty about doing things that make you feel good? Why do we carry that, do we think? It's interesting, isn't it? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Steve. And let me know in the comments, what have you felt guilty about this week? Because I guarantee there'll have been something where you think, I'm not sure, I feel really bad about doing that. I feel guilty because I didn't do that. And it might not be necessarily things that you didn't do for other people. It could be things that you promised yourself that you would do and haven't, and then feel guilty about that as well. Didn't do the exercise, ate the extra cookie, I'm just reading the comments. My friends want to video call today. I can't face it. I don't feel I want to, don't feel too good, but don't want to let them down. I feel guilty about saying no. So I'm glad that you're here, because it's so important. When we feel rubbish, forcing ourselves to be social, forcing ourselves to do things that don't make us feel good, we do it far too much, and there's zero point in doing it. We have to have more compassion with ourselves and a kindness to ourselves to know that it's okay if you don't really feel up to doing that today. That's okay. You don't feel up, but you should be also taking care of yourself and making sure that you feel good. Why is it that we always put ourselves last? Why we think that we should push everybody, we should do everything for everybody else, we should help everybody else, but we don't feel up to going on a FaceTime. We don't feel up to getting dressed today. We don't, we suddenly carry all this guilt about this, and we really need to assess this. So one of the things I would say to you is looking at what the root cause of that is. Why is it that you don't want to say no? Largely, when it comes to people pleasing stuff, it's because we think, well, fundamentally, us as human beings, we want to be part of a group, because from a subconscious, old part of our brain, we want to survive. And we believe, not consciously, but we believe that if we are kicked out of the group, we won't survive. We will essentially die without people. I mean, none of us hopefully are thinking this in our conscious brains, but from a survival point of view, that's why we need to be part of a group. So we feel, if I don't do the things, if I don't show up on a FaceTime, if I don't do the thing, if I don't help Gemma out with a house move, if I don't, whatever it is, right? Insert your own thing, because you've all got them. If I don't do that, I will be, they won't like me, and I'll be kicked out of the group, and essentially I'll die. I mean, that's how extreme it can get in our brains. I know we don't consciously think those things, but our subconscious part of our brain is worried that we will be pushed out of the group, or we will be disliked in some way. And so we carry so much of it. So it's worth looking at, where did this come from? I mean, set aside the fact that you are predisposed to be like that anyway, but was there an incident at some point in your life where you didn't do the thing, where you didn't go on a night out, where you didn't do that thing for somebody else and you were called out for it? Noticing where that comes from. Is there a guilt around not exercising? Is there a guilt around not handling that bit of work? What comes up for you? Because you'll all have your own story, but digging out the root cause of it is often really interesting, because then you can be aware of what might trigger you in the future to feel similar things. You can be aware of that and be ahead of the game. If you know that you are a person, like, I can't see who that is, but your Instagram handle is Ice Roll. Am I reading that right? Ice Row. Anyway, Ice Row on Instagram is sharing hers with, and you might find that when you dig that out, it's because at some point you did say no and somebody wasn't very nice and then it made you feel bad. Going forward, you can recognize that every time somebody asks you to meet up or do something, that if you are if you don't want to do that, that could bring stuff up for you. And being ahead of ourselves on our own personal triggers in whatever this area of mindset this is, it's really helpful for us. We can be the detective of what's going on in our own mind, and we can get ahead of it and just be kind to ourselves, recognize, shift, our perspective on it, reframe things, and help ourselves to just navigate through that if it happens. Michelle is just saying, wow, this is ringing so true with me at the moment. Crazy how the last 2 lives have been exactly what I've been experiencing. Isn't it funny, Michelle? And you know what? I often find people will say this to me, and I think it's just because we find what we need when we need it. I think that's what it is. I think when we need something, it comes to us, and we seek it out. And whether it's law of attraction, our brains seeking it out because we need to hear it, or our own gut reminding us of what we probably already knew. Because I think you probably already know some of the stuff I'm saying, Michelle. It's just that it flags it up to you when you go, oh, this is me and this is where I need to work. But so many of us carry this guilt. So it's asking yourself, the next thing to do is to ask yourself, did you actually do anything wrong? Because guilt is about where you've done something. A guilty verdict. You are guilty or sinful in some way. Did you actually do something wrong? So let's say Ice Row on Insta. Oh, I'm missing all the comments, guys. Sorry, I didn't see all of the comments that are below. I'm so sorry. I had just not gone down at all. And I can see other people saying they need to hear this. That's good. Nicola's just saying, I'm struggling with anxiety and all I want to do the whole time is be at home and see nobody. I want my kids at home and then never to go anywhere ever again. Oh, Nicola, I'm sending you so much love, because that's a horrible feeling and a horrible position to be in. And you are far from alone, because I get messages daily from people who are feeling this level of anxiety. And in all honesty, Nicola, why shouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be feeling like this? We've had over a year now of being told that the world outside is scary. Why wouldn't you feel like that? It makes perfect sense that you would be feeling that. Hi, Jane on Facebook. Of course you would be feeling like that. And I think when it comes to this stuff, I'm going to be doing a 3-day free challenge, which you can totally get involved in, Nicola. This is going to be around anxiety. It's the Screw Anxiety Challenge. I did it last year as well, and I will give you the details of that over the next week where you can get involved. So those of you that are feeling levels of anxiety right now, again, makes sense that you would be. We're in a global pandemic and everybody's been saying the world outside is terrifying. You want to scoop your children up, you want to scoop your family up, get them in one room and never leave the house. Makes sense that you would feel that. So the guilt that we carry with all of this stuff, whatever it is, when we're trying to navigate through life, we have to start working, we have to start understanding where that's coming from, why we feel that level of guilt. I'm just reading on Facebook, someone saying, I feel guilty for crying all the time. Interestingly, I was writing yesterday and I was writing about crying and the benefits of crying. So let's just, one of my favorite facts that I learned, you guys might know this, maybe I was just the one that didn't know it, but when it comes to crying, just so you can alleviate some crying guilt, because it's actually very important, when you cry out stress hormones. So you are literally crying out your stress. That's wild. That's wild to me. You are crying out your stress when you cry. Crying is an important tool. Now, if you are crying constantly all day, every day, which you might be, then absolutely seek out some help from those that can help, whether that's friends, whether that's professionals. Definitely do that. But don't feel guilty for crying. If you're a sensitive human being, I'm a sensitive human being. I cry at stuff all the time. All the time. I'm an emotional human being. Some people are. Some people are just more in tune with stuff and life makes them a little, whether it's happy or sad. I cry as well. Hi, Laura on YouTube, and hi, Eddie as well on Facebook. Welcome, Patrick and Jackie on Instagram. So asking yourself whether you have actually done anything wrong. Because I would imagine that if it's a case that you don't want to show up on a Zoom call, I'm going to say that's not the most heinous thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't think you should feel guilty for that. We do feel guilty for those things, but I'm saying, is it that have you actually done anything wrong? Or are you being super hard on yourself? Let's say your kids have been on the iPad too long. We feel all super guilty. I should never let the kids be on the iPad that long. I know all of the studies about why they shouldn't be on the iPad, but in that moment you had to do something, you had to get some work done, you had to clear up, you had to get them, whatever. These things happen because we're trying to navigate life, and right now we're navigating life in a very challenging way. And if you have to do things to get you through that, then should you be carrying all of this guilt around with you? And it's really challenging that notion that you're a guilty human being. And I wrote on Instagram saying I'm way too hard on myself, and this is it, right? This is ultimately it. It's the pressure and the standards that we put on ourselves to hit these unrealistic expectations. Welcome Vicky on Facebook as well. These unrealistic expectations that we set for ourselves, and we're doomed to fail most of the time with them, because we expect ourselves to be eating the right food all the time, to be exercising, to be looking good, to be educating ourselves, to have growth, to be social, but then also to have self-care time. The list is endless. Like, it's so much pressure on us as human beings. And then when we don't hit those expected marks, those crazy expectations that we put on ourselves, we then feel guilty about it. And it has to stop. We have to take a stand. We have to be the ones that go, I'm not going to feel guilty about not going on a Zoom call. I'm not going to feel guilty for whatever. Kirsty on Instagram saying, I put too much pressure on myself to be a good mom and to be like what everyone else looks like on social media. And I think looks like is the optimum word, right? Looks like is the main part of that sentence, Kirsty. And we know it logically because it's only what people portray, and we know that people portray their best bits. We portray our best bits on social media. Even if you're aware, I'm a person who's fairly aware of my platform on social media, and so I do try to balance it out. But even with trying to balance it out, if I look down my Instagram, I'm still going to go, wow, that misses out all the screaming in the house, or the arguments, or the fact that there's washing everywhere. It misses all that bit out. I mean, I try to be balanced, but it's very hard to be, because I don't want to see that stuff either. We don't want to see our flawed bits posted on the internet. And so when we look at other people's stuff, like Emily's has been doing, and everybody's been doing, whether it's being a mom or being a businesswoman or a businessman or whatever, a human being, we look at this and we are comparing ourselves to everybody else's best bits, knowing full well what our worst bits are, knowing full well what they are, and comparing to that, and then carrying guilt around about it. And it's crazy that we do it, but we all do it. I'm just looking at these. Emily's also saying, trying not to compare myself to others. I do think sometimes I should be settled down. And that's another thing. Emily's just mentioning a timeline. That's another thing we compare with a timeline. I should be doing this. By this age, I should have done this, and we tick all these things off, and then we put all this pressure on ourselves. There's no shoulds. Like, you do it in your own way. It's your life based on your own experience of the world, and that's just how it is. I'm just reading the comments on Instagram. I feel guilty choosing the wrong person. I can't get rid of from her thoughts, even though I tried really hard, but nothing works. Last night I was watching a TEDx talk that was really impressive. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to look at my TEDx talk, it is called Tough Luck, Why Accepting Life's Unfairness Will Set You Free. You can find that on YouTube. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of guilt that we carry, and we have to remind ourselves to have compassion for ourselves. Being a human being is constantly having to make decisions for yourself every single day, tiny micro decisions. And some of those decisions that we have to make will impact our lives massively and take us down a whole new route. And that's a big lot of pressure to put on ourselves, isn't it? That's a huge amount of pressure that every day, every tiny decision we make could take us down a different route. And we're all having to navigate that every day. Whatever your personal circumstances, every single human being out there is having to navigate all of this stuff in our heads every day. And we're going to get it wrong. We're going to get it wrong a lot during that journey. And we're going to have to learn to be compassionate and kind enough to ourselves to go, do you know what? On that occasion, I got it wrong. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to work it out, and I'm going to move forward. I'm just reading the comments on Facebook. Tanya says, no worries at all. You're a 6 today. Have lots to do. Could is better than should, Tanya was saying. Yeah, I could be doing that, absolutely. Instead of saying I haven't got time, try to say it's not a priority. Oh yeah, I love that one. A reframe on your thinking about things is really powerful. So Tanya's just sharing some great ones there. So rather than saying I don't have time, saying it's not a priority. But then again, if you say it's not a priority, for many people, Tanya, that's going to bring up guilt, isn't it? So when we say I don't have time to do exercise, that feels nicer. Don't have time, zero guilt. It's not a priority, riddled with guilt. It's not a priority to exercise for me right now. And so really noticing what's going on for you, digging out the root cause of where the guilt is coming from, and just bringing it to the surface. When we bring a lot of these thoughts that we have to the surface and we air them out, they lose their potency. Asking yourself, did you actually do anything wrong? Are you this hideous person because of X, Y, and Z, whatever, because you ate the second cookie? You ate a second cookie, right? And you said you weren't going to. Are you a hideous person? Or are there some new habits that you need to create? Are there some things you need to work on, but you're still an all right human being and you don't have to carry that guilt? Naming the feeling, again, that goes with it in the digging it out and asking yourself these questions, is naming what it is that's there. So I'll often get my daughters to do this as well. When they say a blanket term, like, for example, I'm feeling scared or I'm sad, we'll dig out what's actually going on for us under the surface. So be really specific. I'm feeling anxious about this. I feel guilt, and then being really specific. I feel guilty because the last time I didn't show up on a Zoom call, I felt really bad. My friend said that it wasn't as good. I don't know, whatever. It was, my friend said she missed us on there and she was disappointed. Maybe that would be one that would generate guilt, wouldn't it? Disappointment. Tanya's just saying that she had Domino cookies with ice cream and cream last night. Are you guilty about it? Are you feeling all right about it? And DWR Music saying is saying on YouTube, it's not a priority, might feel more guilty, but I think it addresses that well because it's more honest. Absolutely, especially honest with yourself. It's super important, and that's a great thing to say because it does address it and it is honest. And saying it's not a priority to something is actually very important for us, because then we are honest with ourselves, and then we can go, so why is it not a priority for me? Let's say it's exercise. That's the one that I need to work on a lot, and it's because I want to be exercising and moving my body and healthier. It is important to me. I'm not making it a priority right now at all, and I would like to. So I have to address, why am I not making it a priority? Why do I not see myself as a person that exercises? Because that's what it is, right? It's about whether you see yourself as that person or you identify as something different, and looking at that as well. And Tanya doesn't feel guilty about the cookies, if anybody was worrying. On Instagram, Adam is saying, balancing uni and being a first-time dad, I often feel guilty because when I'm doing one, I feel like I'm neglecting the other. And Adam, that's going to come up for so many people, whether it's uni, whether it's work, mums, dads. That is a constant guilty feeling of being a parent. And I think when it comes to this, we are never going to get that balance right all of the time. You're right. When you're doing one thing, you're doing one thing. When you're parenting, you're playing games with your kids, you're doing that. And when you're working, you're doing that. And when we try and do in between, we feel dreadful about it because we just feel like we're not doing anything right. We're not doing the work that good. You're not doing uni work that good when you're trying to parent, and you're not parenting that amazing when you're trying to do work at the same time. We have to recognize that the reason that you're probably going to university is to get a better job, to make more money for your family. There's a bigger picture. If you're a mom and you're working at the same time, you're trying to build a business, whatever else you're doing, or just being a human being and trying to balance not losing your mind as well as being a parent, because it's all really challenging, then we have to be kind enough to ourselves ultimately to understand that we're doing our very best. Everybody is doing the best that they can. And sometimes the best that you can do isn't hitting the mark for you, or isn't hitting the mark for somebody else, but it's still the best that you have in your locker at this moment in time. And Ice Rose saying, I feel guilty now not doing my uni essay when I decided to tune into this. But maybe you need to hear this about the guilt. You can do, and I'm not saying that we should feel guilt-free because all the time, because guilt is important, of course. Guilt is an important thing. If we had no guilt whatsoever, then we wouldn't care about anything and we would be a narcissistic sociopath. So we're not going for that. What we are going for is letting go of the guilt where it's unwarranted. Letting go of that. If when we tune in, we go, I really needed to do that thing and I didn't do it, or I really shouldn't have said that thing and I did, then we need to also address that. That's also about being honest to yourself. As DWR Music was talking about honesty, it's absolutely about being honest with yourself as well. So if you're not doing the right thing and you tune in, you go, actually, I should feel a little guilty about this thing that I've done. That's fine. Having a conscience is important. But what we're talking about mostly today is the guilt that we carry, which is just unwarranted, and it ladens us down. It's heavy. mfairy17 on Instagram says, everyday life, no matter what you do, there will always be guilt there. No one is perfect, especially in these times. Absolutely. I think that's a really important thing. The thing to remember is this: when we feel guilty about something that we've done in our minds, or something we haven't done, and then we carry this guilt, we can then end up feeling guilty about the guilt. We can feel like we pile it on top of the thing that's already happened. The guilt doesn't do anything but actually just make us feel crap. So if you're feeling guilty because you haven't done your uni work, then the guilt is not going to make you do the uni work. In reality, the guilt is not going to help you, should I say, to do that. It might give you the indication, that nudge, that you should do it better next time, or you should, whatever, crack on a bit earlier. But the guilt on top of the guilt on top of the guilt is what we sometimes do to ourselves. It doesn't actually help us. It doesn't make us work harder. It doesn't make us, shaming yourself into exercising. It doesn't actually work. Bullying yourself into, whatever else, not eating the cookie, it doesn't really work. In reality, we just feel bad, and then we're less motivated, and we feel rubbish, so we probably do other things that we would rather we weren't doing. We've got to learn to be kinder to ourselves. We've got to do that. And when we start to have some compassion about the fact that, we are going to get it wrong, and we are going to mess up, and we are going to say the wrong thing, when we give ourselves that respect and understanding, that even if you think, hi Sammy on YouTube, even if you think that everybody else that you see on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube and on the school run is getting it right, and they look like they are, and sometimes people will say to me, oh gosh, you do so many different things, you've got everything going on, and they might assume that I'm not having a nervous breakdown every now and then. They'd be wrong. And so we need to let ourselves off the hook and do the best that we can. And if you messed up today, or you messed up yesterday, pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and start all over again. So my dad used to say to me, we just have to start again, and we have to start fresh. And if we're doing things that aren't taking us in the direction that we want to go in, then okay, address it, be honest with yourself, work out what the plan is. And if you need to work with somebody on that plan, then do that as well. Have people that help you to be accountable. For those of you that are just following me recently, or don't know what I do work with people one-on-one as a coach. I also have, and this is going to be probably now into April, I've pushed it back slightly for those that I know are wanting to do this. I'm doing my coaching program, the 6-week coaching program called the You Got This Academy. The You Got This Academy is going to be a space for you to work through a lot of this stuff, because in over 6 weeks we go live once a week together in our private space. And we then work through all of our mindset stuff, and we create a plan over 6 weeks together on how we deal with life when it gets tough, what we want at this stage in our life, and we work through, or why have I not been getting it to this point? What's been going on there for me? And we work through it. I did this group coaching. It launched last year in October. So some of you that are in here, and Hannah was in the academy as well. So a few of you were involved already. And I'm doing it again. So I'm opening the doors to that in April. And I will let you know about that as soon as possible. But I know that for some of you that are at a stage now where we've got to this stage during a global pandemic where we're like, what's the next stage? I need to work out where I'm going. That's going to be a really great way for you guys to be able to work with me. I says, I'd love that group. Sounds really helpful. Yeah. So we start that in April. I will get everything up very soon, but it's going to be a really cool, it's not going to be absolutely massive amounts of people. I try and keep it to an amount that's manageable, because I want to work with you. I want to get to know you. And I can see people on Facebook saying, You've Got This Academy's fab. And Hannah saying it's amazing. Thank you so much, guys. For those of you that did it last time, it was an incredible group. And also not just the fact that I'm going to be working with you on techniques to get through, work through everything, but also you're going to get a super supportive community that's going to be by your side and hold you accountable as well. And we've seen people from the academy do some really, really cool stuff since doing it. And on Facebook, someone saying they're going to the doctors. Thanks. Oh, I'm so glad. Sending you loads of love. I can't see who that is. It might be Emma, but I might be wrong. But sending you loads and loads of love on Facebook. So Adam, I'm going to let you know all about that over the next couple of weeks. So check in, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I will be posting about it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and talking about it. So someone's just asking, will it be in the working day? I'd love to do this. It will be, I'm looking at, it will be live in the daytime, but I am potentially looking at doing a repeat of it on a nighttime. So let me come back to you on this. However, the recording of the live will always be, you will get the recording of the live session. So it will be done live via Zoom, and but the recording and everything, you will have all of everything afterwards. So if you can't make a live session, it doesn't matter. And you will be put into it, you'll have a Facebook group as well, where you've got access to chat to me. And we also have some amazing guest speakers in as well. Jess is just saying, off topic, I know, but my necklace is still going strong. I wear it every day. I love that. For those that don't know, I actually haven't put my necklace on this morning, which is weird. I have 2 necklaces, for those that don't know, that I created with mantra jewelry, so you can check those out as well. And oh, and okay, so brilliant. So some people are saying in evening would be good as well. So I will look at doing that, because last time there were some people that would like to have done it on the evening. So we might look at doing 2 tiers of it. Let me think about it. Let me work it out for you guys. I'm good, Sarah. Lovely to see you on Facebook as well. Hannah says, our You Got This Academy group are amazing. We support each other. Such an amazing group. So if that's looking like something that you would like to be part of, I'll be talking about that very soon. I'll have everything up so you can get involved. And I'd love to see a new batch of people that we're going to work through 6 weeks together, intensive working together. You'll get workbooks, you'll get recordings, you'll get everything that you can go over. So even when you finish, you can even go back over that stuff as well, and you'll have that forever to keep going over it and to keep working on the stuff that we talk about. I'm going to finish up now, because I have a session with a client, and we're going to be working on some excellent stuff. For those of you that aren't following me on the platforms that you're on, make sure that you do subscribe and follow, and come and hang out with me. I will be with you next Monday. I will be back to my normal schedule, where we'll be talking about different things next week. Make sure to tune in with all my social media stuff this week, where we'll be continuing the conversation about guilt. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And Jenna says she's going to treat herself to one of my necklaces. Amazing. And Robin's just saying, hope you're well. What have you been doing? Oh, Robin, I've got to jump off, but I've been doing lots of fun stuff on here, and having fun birthday stuff. It's my daughter's birthday yesterday with the kids. Thank you guys. Take care, everybody. Bye. I can see Sam Eljo. Was it Sam Eljo? Sounds great. It does sound great, and I hope that you'll be involved. I will see you all very soon. I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram first. Goodbye, Instagram. We are gone on Instagram. And I'm going to say goodbye to you guys on YouTube and Facebook, and in my Facebook groups and the You Got This Academy. Goodbye, guys, and I will speak to you all very soon.